There's been a lot of talk about who's to blame for the Eagles not necessarily looking like we want them to look. I am not really on the train of giving one person blame, giving it all to Jalen, giving it all to Nick, giving it all to whoever you want to call out. I'm more on the thought process of this is a team failure. This is an organizational thing. Now, failure may be a little bit harsh, but I want to talk about what I see happening with this team in the future and why I don't think that, honestly, getting rid of Nick Sirianni makes any sense. So we're going to talk about it. Let's get into it. Let's go.
You want Philly?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and it is another episode of Philly, the podcast. So we're gonna hop right into this, man. I've heard a lot of people talking about firing Nick Sirianni. Is Jalen Hurts the right guy? Is this guy, that guy? I've heard everybody talking about damn near everybody on this Philadelphia Eagles team, but one thing I have not heard is a fair spread of blame, and I'm gonna give you that today. I'm gonna start at the top, and I'm gonna start with Jeffrey Lurie. All right, look, the Philadelphia Eagles, and I've had a bunch of different people on this channel, some people that worked for the Eagles, some people that played for the Eagles, and the main thing that I've consistently heard is that the Philadelphia Eagles want to be a pass-first team. They want to be, and look, this is a league where you win passing the ball. They want an offense that is explosive. They want an offense that can go out there and put up a 5,000-yard pass season, and that is all good and dandy. That is beautiful. That's perfect. When you had Carson Wentz, that was a possibility. When you had McNabb, not so much. But, looking at the player you have, right? All right. And this is, again, Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, we'll bunch them together. Looking at the player and players that you have, at some point, you got to change that philosophy. Now, I've said this a bunch of times. If we go ahead and fire Nick Sirianni, right? Everybody wants to fire Nick Sirianni. If you go ahead and fire Nick Sirianni, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to hire another Nick Sirianni. That is what's going to happen. As much as you might hate it, as much as you might want to sit here and say, we might get Bill, we might get, old boy from the Titans, you might get this guy, you might get that guy. Let's look at history and let's look at what history has really taught us about these Philadelphia Eagles. Doug Peterson, a no-name hire, a random guy that was a part of the of the Andy Reid tree. You look at Nick Sirianni, came from a different tree but had connections to, Andy Reid. Andy Reid helped us with that hire, which still is a little bit weird to me, but at the end of the day, that is the truth. We look at guys that necessarily don't have the biggest resume when it comes to head coaching. We don't look at guys that have been in the game for a long time. We don't look at guys that are established, or guys that are going to come in here and set their culture in motion. The Eagles, which, for better or worse, we have an established culture. We are a culture that likes to be buddy-buddy with our players. We like the culture of talking that talk, having fun, going out there, being a gritty, mean team, and it comes down to your ownership to understand that things need to change in order to be successful. Now, again, I like our fundamentals as an organization. I like our philosophy as an organization. I do like that these players are Philly guys. They come into Philly, they talk their junk, they, get into it with fans. I like that. I feel like that's Philly. But the passing part. We have a Pro Bowl, All-Pro, whatever you want to call Saquon Barkley. He is that guy when it comes to running the ball. He's top 3, I believe, in rushing yards this year. Maybe top 5. I have to look at the actual stats. This is just off the top of my head. But he's an amazing player. We've seen him already take over numerous games for the Eagles. We're literally a drop pass away from being 5-1 right now. I mean, there's a lot of things that you look at with this team and you say, why is it so hard for this organization to go with what the fans already see? We should be running this rock. You have Saquon Barkley. You have Jalen Hurts. You have a young offensive line that is just tough. You got guys like Landon Dickerson. You got guys like Cam Jurgens really starting to come on. Tyler Steen looked really good. Mekhi Becton has looked good when he's in there. You obviously still have Lane Johnson. Jordan Mailata is going to come back. Friend Johnson wasn't the best, right? He wasn't the best, but he played well. And I feel like when you just stick to your guns running the ball, when you get behind this offensive offensive line and just say, we're going to run it down your throat, you are the best version of yourself. And as the Philadelphia Eagles and as a GM, as a owner of this team, you have to look at that and say, hey, maybe we need to step back from the identity that we want and realize the identity that we have right now, what we can be instead of what we want to be. You know, and this goes in life. I'm not going to get too preachy, but this goes in life. Sometimes God gives you opportunities, puts them right in front of you. And just because it's not the exact opportunity you want, you dismiss it. And I feel like that's what the Eagles are doing right now. I feel like the Eagles are looking at Saquon, looking at Jalen and saying, yeah, but we paid AJ. Yeah, but we got, Devontae Smith. I get it. I feel like AJ Brown and Devontae Smith can still eat if you implement the run game as much as you should. I've said this before. A lot of people go out there and say, should we get a wide receiver 3? Should we get this for the offense? If you're going to get anything for the offense, go get yourself another running back. Go get yourself another running back. And why go get yourself another running back? So that you can run the ball 30 to 40 times a game. If you want to keep Saquon healthy, and you don't trust Will Shipley 1,000,000%, yeah, I get it, he's still young, but if you don't trust him, if you don't trust Kenny Gainwell, which I technically don't, even though Saquon's saying giving him his rocks, giving him his carries, it is what it is, I don't trust him. If you want to go out there and get yourself another guy on that offensive side, go get yourself a running back. Go get yourself somebody that can carry the ball 10 times a game and you feel confident about those 10 to 15 touches, whether it be catches or running the ball. Get yourself somebody that you can spell Saquon Barkley with. If you're worried that Saquon might get, injured before the playoffs or whatever it may be, you don't want to wear him out, that's cool. Utilize the offensive line, though, and go get yourself a running back you trust. If you don't trust Kenny Gainwell, if you don't trust Will Shipley, go ahead and do that. So it starts at the top, all right? It starts at the top with Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. And then we do have to talk about, Nick Sirianni. And we're going to talk about Jalen Hurts, too. And I'm going to save that for last because I know I'm probably going to have some unpopular opinions about Jalen Hurts. But before we get into, Nick Sirianni, look, if you agree that we should be running the ball, which I'm sure a lot of you do, be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, join the family. I want to get to 10K. I want to get to 10K before the end of the year. I know that's a lofty goal, but I would love for us to get there together, so I really appreciate it. Now, Nick Sirianni. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm starting to like Nick Sirianni more and more. And I think that this year has been a year that I know I just talked all that junk about Howie and Jeffrey Lurie. I feel like this year is the year that they will start to wake up. I truly do believe that. Now, I'm not too hyped that we went out there and ran the ball a bunch against the Giants. At the end of the day, we did this last year with DeAndre Swift. We had a couple games where DeAndre Swift went absolutely wild and they reverted right back to the pass game. So I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh, this is the biggest thing in the world. This is huge. I'm not going to say that because honestly, I don't believe it until I see it. But Nick Sirianni has to get a gut check. And you got to man up a little bit, my man. You got to man up a little bit. Speak your speak. Talk your talk. Tell these people what you want to see, all right? We all have jobs, right? We all have jobs. We all have bosses. And at the end of the day, sometimes you got to go to your boss and say, this isn't working. What we're doing right now isn't working. Let's go out there and try some new things. Let's run the ball. Let's, do a little bit more play action, a little bit more under center. Let's do a little bit more motion. This is not working. Our offense has not been what we expected to be for a while now. This game versus the Giants was the first game that we blew a team out since last year. So realistically, and I'm talking honestly, maybe even the year before that. Realistically, last year was a whole bunch of mishmash, just craziness. So if you're the head coach, you're supposed to be the CEO, make some decisions. Go out there and say, listen, this isn't working. What can we do to make this better? What can we do to change this up? And honestly, that's really the only gripe I have with Nick Sirianni. That's really the only gripe because I know a lot of people want to talk about his offense. A lot of people want to talk about him putting his hands in the pot. None of that's proven, one. And two, you look back at these offenses even before it was him. You look back at Andy. I mean, Chip Kelly's kind of a one-off because they gave him a bunch of power. But you look at Andy Reid, you look at Doug Peterson, you look at whoever you want to look at, man. They passed the ball. Under Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, they've passed the ball a bunch. And we've been asking this team to run the ball for it feels like 10, 15 years now. So it's not Nick Sirianni to me. It really is not just on Nick Sirianni. Again, I want him to, balls up a little bit, excuse my language, but go out there and tell this team what they need to be. That's how you control the situation. That's how you be a CEO. That's truly how you be a CEO. And I'm okay. I'm okay if you're going to be a CEO. If that's what you're going to be it to the best capability, the fullest capability. Be that CEO and actually make decisions. Don't be afraid to go tell Jeffrey Lurie or Howie Roseman, hey, things ain't working how you want it to work. So let me cook, let me work, and make this work. So I know people probably going to disagree with me on that, and I would love to hear what you guys think. I don't hate Nick Sirianni. I personally think he's a good coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that his attitude works well for these players. I think that his attitude works well for this fan base. He takes a lot of things. He takes a lot of blame for a lot of things that aren't necessarily his fault. And I know to some people that, I don't want to say, real casuals, but I know to some people that maybe not study the Eagles or looked at the Eagles past, they might look at that and be like, oh, well, then it's Nick Sirianni's fault. Not necessarily. That's where I'm at. Now, the last guy, you got to be honest, all right? Anybody that has any part of this has to have some part of the blame, right? And Jalen Hurts has a part of this blame, and honestly a big one. I'm going to be honest with you. I know that he's now taking on more responsibility as a play caller, more responsibility as, shifting the line, getting the pass protection right, and all that. So I've been saying this since last year. I want to know how much of these called runs are being changed by Jalen Hurts at the line. We've heard this a lot. We've heard a lot that Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown just say, hey, we had something different and we decided to do this. That's fine. That's fine, but you can't do it consistently. Jalen has to understand you have Saquon Barkley back there. Utilize him. You have a great run game. Utilize it. And I understand that you got A.J. Brown, and when you see him on a one-on-one, yeah, I'm sure your hands start tingling, right? Your hands start tingling. You're like, I want to get it to AJ. Can I get it to AJ? But you got to calm down. Got to calm down. All right, I understand 14 pass plays last week was not necessarily the game plan you want to live and die off of, but I loved seeing the utilization of these running backs. I loved seeing it. I really did. If Jalen Hurts stays between 20 and 25 pass attempts on an average, I'm cool with that. But he has to take some of the blame. He has to be better. He has to be better before the snap, and he has to be better after the snap. I'm not going to nitpick every single one, right? I've seen a lot of people picking certain plays and saying, oh, he didn't see that guy. What's going on? He didn't see that guy. What's going on? Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. All right, let's be honest here. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback, and I'm happy he's the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback. I want to make that clear. But he has to be better, just like everybody else on this team. The offensive line, be a little bit more consistent. You've played well, be a little bit more consistent. Hopefully we see this is the corner turn for this defense. People have always told me that Vic, I'm going to be real with you. I didn't study Vic Fangio. I've seen his, scheme. I've obviously watched it. I've done the all 22, but to sit here and act like I'm the, godfather of knowing what Vic Fangio's scheme is and what it takes to play in his scheme, I'm not going to lie like that. But I will say, a lot of people have told me that it takes a couple weeks for players to really get into Vic Fangio's system and understand what they're going to do. Let's be real. They haven't played amazingly. They have not played perfectly, right? Nobody has. But you look at Darius Slay, as much as I'm sad that he blocked me, I'm sad about that. But as much as we might talk junk, he's had a good season. Quinyon has looked amazing. Cooper DeJean has looked great. Jalen Carter in spurts has looked great. Thomas Booker, Milton Williams has looked good. Jordan Davis has looked, guys have looked good. Zach Bond, right? Bryce Huff just got his first sack. Could this be the corner turn? Maybe. And that'll be something we'll talk about down the line. But right now, my overarching sentiment, my overarching theme of this video is everybody's to blame. Let's stop nitpicking and saying, well, this person, that. It's everybody. We got to be better. Simple and plain. We got to be better. So look, I'm trying to get over this cold. I don't know if you can still hear it on me. I hope you guys like the background. My girl went absolutely insane with it. So shout out to her. But yeah, hey, look, we're going to talk more about this game down the line. You guys let me know what you're thinking in the comments. Like I said, if you guys enjoy this type of content, please be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. We will be going live a lot more soon. We'll talk about it. But yeah, I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Other than that, y'all know what it is. It's Fly Eagles Fly. And we are out here. Peace!
Everywhere. This is for
Yeah.
you.
Fly Eagles flying on the team. Touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird gang nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here cool